Enterprise West Midlands stopped receiving any public funding and became a social enterprise in its own right, which is now, we're in our 4th trading year. Goodness, it seems like so much longer. If you'd have asked me to predict then how much time we would spend in the social finance arena, I probably didn't have that clear vision at that time. Having come from a private sector background myself, I certainly had the concept. I spent a lot of time, and apologies to my colleagues that have been around for a lot longer than I have. I spent a lot of time talking to people, and I really, for the first 6 months in the sector, could not get my head around this grant money that came and somebody gave it you and you didn't have to pay it back. I had a lot of problem with some of those concepts. And I think in terms of anticipating how much development has gone on in the social finance world over the 4 years, I think it's quite immense, and we were reflecting, weren't we, Nick, on perhaps quite how far we've travelled during that time. The main focus for today is about Social Enterprise West Midlands doing several things. First and foremost, it's about bringing the social investors to you. It's about all of these individuals, and it's great to hear so many good conversations going on. I actually haven't encouraged you to get out of the social finance bit and come into this area. I think I made a joke earlier that we sent it that way around so that you didn't have to, you had to go through there before you got the coffee. You see, that was my strategy. But bringing those people to you from their bases in London, in Bristol, in the north, and bringing them all into this one room is very important, because instead of you having to spend a lot of time trying to work out who the best, most suitable, appropriate investor is, you've got them all in one place. It's all about us shaping what happens next. And again, not only are we a facilitator in terms of making these events happen, but we also have a role to play, I believe now, in shaping the product development. And one of the things that we've done to be able to do that is done a data collection survey. I'm going to come back to that in a minute. Today wouldn't happen without our sponsors, okay? So, as I know most of you are probably bored of hearing me say by now, we don't receive any public money from anywhere. So all of the money we earn is through our traded services, whether that's membership, event management or consultancy. So today is provided with the assistance of our sponsors. I'm delighted to be working with Big Society Capital again for our 4th Social Finance Fair, and also with the Key Fund Social Investment Business as our headline sponsors. But what I think is most encouraging, if you look at the range of logos from our sponsors, is just how wide our partnerships now extend, whether that's from a funding perspective or a corporate supply perspective, or also from our more traditional funders. Thank you to all our sponsors. Without your support, we wouldn't be able to do these events. Some other quick thank yous. We always get sterling support from Aiden Digital, who do our photographs and videos. Just so that you understand why we do that, after we do an event, we might have 140 people here today. We could pick up easily another 100 views on our YouTube channel. So it helps us, I suppose, to be able to give legacy beyond the event. We have really good social media reach. Thank you very much to Argonaut Cleaning Solutions, who do our cleaning in the building where we're based, who came in and helped us transform this space. And also thank you to Sport Birmingham, who are another organisation in this building that we've recently connected with, for letting us jump on their Wi-Fi, because that was a bit of a challenge. But unfortunately, there isn't open Wi-Fi for everybody. If you are searching for Wi-Fi and you are able to get on EF Guest, then please feel free to do so. Okay, so those of you that know, I'm very active on social media. If you're not already following us, you can do so at @_SEWM. And we're using the hashtag today, SFF14, just that we can track the stories. I mentioned the data collection survey. This is actually very important for us. I was looking back at the surveys. We did one in the 2nd year and then the 3rd year. So we managed to collect a sample that was over 75% of the attendees. So we're looking at a data collection sample of around about 100 people. And it's really important for us to track that data to see how the market is changing, particularly in the West Midlands. So in your packs and also around the room, you've got a link to SurveyMonkey, you've got a QR code if you've got a scanner on your phone. Please feel free to either complete those surveys today using one of your own mobile devices, or you will notice that we've got 3 of our affectionately known iPad Inquisitors, although I think there is somebody working off an alternative tablet supply, and they're here to try and take. It's only 9 questions, but it's really important for us to get that data from you, and we will reflect it in the post-conference report as well, so you can see what we learned. Okay, so I thought I'd just go on and talk a little bit about considering social investment and what we've learnt over the surveys that we've taken. One of the things I was really interested when I looked back at 2012, 2013, is that if you look at the definitely interested, when we went back to 2012, only 15% of you were definitely considering social finance. In 2013, that had doubled, okay? And then if you look at the other end of the table, so you look down here at the definitely nots, right? Right back in the day when social finance was relatively new, almost 30% of you said, no, we're not doing that, okay? Because you've got to repay it back and they'll probably want some interest with it as well, okay? And interestingly enough, later on it can move right down to 3%. I think it's very indicative of the economic situation that we're in at the moment. Grant money for social enterprise is not a sustainable way of doing business, okay? So finding access to other forms of finance and funding are essential. Whether they are big level investments or whether they are pro bono investments or support investment or crowdfunding investment, it's important that you understand for your organisation how best to tap into the funders that are available. I think the other thing that was quite overwhelming is if you actually took the middle ground there, well over 85% of you were considering social investment at some stage. So we'll move on to levels of investment sought. Interestingly enough, still quite a significant percentage of you looking at investments over 100k, and I'm sure that for many of the investors that are here today, that will be news to their ears. And I do remember the first time we ran a social finance fair exhibition, I had to do a lot more persuading to get people to trek from wherever they were. The general feeling from a lot of the exhibitors at the time was, well, we'll come, Mel, because we know, you know, do a good event, you'll get people there, it'll be a good agenda, but we're not sure we'll actually make any deals from it. Actually, after the first social finance fair, I had a very different relationship with the exhibitors, and I think that's very encouraging. However, despite the fact that there's 10% of you looking at over $500,000, there is also a large proportion of you are looking at much smaller investments, and we recognise that that is still a challenge for the market. And I'm hoping that some of the speakers after me are going to spend a little bit of time talking about what their particular organisations are doing to try and work with that. So, I want to talk a little bit about some of the things that we've been doing, and then I'm going to ask for something from you, which again, those of you that know me well know that I'm probably not going to miss this opportunity, as I've got you all sat in this space and we've locked all the doors without asking you for something. We've been spending a lot of time doing some things with Barratt Cadbury, doing a pilot around trying to work with a number of organisations that wouldn't have been investable in their current state. And it's called Innovation in Social Finance, and I know there's a couple of those people in the room. We've been looking very hard with a range of partners, which extends across social financiers and also corporate partners and trusts and charities, about the potential of creating a West Midlands social impact investment fund, for want of a better word. One of the reasons that we've done that, and actually one of the reasons that was motivated originally to get involved in this space, is one of the things that the West Midlands has suffered from is we haven't had a SIFI, a social intermediary finance institution, that was centred just on this geography. We've got some great partners, we've got people like Charity Bank and Triodos and Unity, and people that work across the whole of the UK, but nobody whose responsibility, I suppose, or main driver was to look after the West Midlands. So we'll continue to look at that, and again, there'll be some other developments from today's programme, which I hope will inform that. I'm really delighted that actually we'll have the new minister attending, and we had some really good support from Nick Hurd. We are very privileged actually to be able to get the new minister, who is only a few days into post. I'm sure that you will bear with me. We're going to have no craft-based questions, those of you that know anything about wool and knitting, thank you. And we'll have, we'll make sure that we can use the minister's time as effectively as possible, okay? So, and I'm really pleased that we've got a little bit of an opportunity to do a short Q&A as well. I said I'm going to ask you for something, okay? 50% of social enterprises and charities in the UK have trouble recruiting trustees and board members, okay? If we are ever going to make sure that our sector is fit for purpose, we're going to have to do something about the skills gaps that exist. So, I'm just going to ask you to do something for me, if that's okay. There's no role play or anything. Those people are sitting at the front always tend to get a bit nervous at this stage, and they're all looking at me, what's she going to ask? Can I just ask you, if you consider that finance, accounting, investment, funding is an area that you have expertise or a decent amount of knowledge in, would you just do me a favour and put your hand up? Okay. So that's a good representation across the floor. Okay. So if I was to then ask you to put your hand up, if you are a trustee or a board member with a particular focus around those skills, would you just put your hand up again for me? Okay. Right. Probably about less than 50% of the people that put their hands up originally. So what I want to do is launch a campaign today for, on behalf of our members really. In your packs you will find something that looks remotely like a certificate, one of these, which is an expertise pledge. And what I'm asking you to do today, instead of doing a survey, if you like, other than the data collection one, is to indicate if you have a skill that you can potentially share with our members. We've given you some options, so there's the wholehearted I'm in, I'll become a trustee or a board member. There's the co-opted option, which is more of a time-limited focus where you would volunteer or support an organisation whilst it's going through that process. You can volunteer your organisation and do some briefing and raise awareness within your organisation to try and get other people, particularly if you feel you're not the most appropriate person. You can mentor an existing trustee or board member to increase their skill base. You can work with us to conduct a briefing session with networks that you work with, or I thought this was very nice, you can refer a friend or a colleague. Just pop their name on the sheet. But I am expecting a good return. It's strong to hear from me. We'd be really keen to hear, because actually Daniela's here, isn't she? Daniela, are you here? Daniela. We've been working with Daniela for over 12 months to try and find somebody to recruit to her board that's got the financial expertise and acumen that she needs, okay? She's been very proactive with her business, she's looked at lots of initiatives and she is getting support from some of the organisations. But what she really needs is somebody in this room or somebody that you know outside of this room to go and volunteer to become a board member to help her through that next stage of the transition. Okay. Right, I think that's me done. Have a great day. Please make sure you enjoy the food, make lots of good connections. If you're seriously interested in investment, make sure you go and have some serious conversations. And I look forward to catching up with many more of you during the day.